This is the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentradio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are all over the world. Welcome to TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go on the world's greatest radio. And now you are in touch with the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is radio the way it should be heard. On today's show, we are still continuing with the fifth area of people activity. This will be the fourth installment on the law. We are going to start on page 156, and we are going to go very slowly because of the material that Mr. Fuller has suggested in his book, The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. You need to get this book so that you may follow along with where we are going. And we want to go particularly slow because of the material that is suggested in this book or in these particular areas is very important that you understand, know, and then understand. Mr. Fuller is on the line from Washington, D.C. This is live, unrehearsed. Good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Good morning.
And how are you this morning?
I am still learning.
You are still learning. And can you hear me properly? Mr. Fuller?
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, I can.
Okay, very good. Okay. Let's do this. Before we get started, I'd like for you to speak to your book, how we can get it so we can proceed in the program.
You can get the book by going to producejustice.com. That's producejustice.com. Like in production, PRODUCE, producejustice.com. And what will come up on the screen is a brief description of a basic textbook for victims of racism, white supremacy, and an extended version of the basic textbook, an extended section, that's another volume, called the Counter-Racist Word Guide, Compensatory Counter-Racist Word Guide, about how to use words, how not to use words, what words to ask questions about when people are discussing racism and or something associated with the production of justice or the elimination of racism. You can get the books by going to producejustice.com.
All right, producejustice.com. Now, before we get started, since many of you are on the home page, and for those who are listening to the show for the first time, we are in our donation portion of our program, and all you have to do is hit the donate button, and you can donate any amount that you want for the continuation of the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller on the second hour. That is a funded hour, and you do that. As a matter of fact, we have a few names that we will give. Yvonne Holly, Robert Slade, Patrick Smith, Samuel Robinson, Brian Gatson, Freddie Burgess are just a few of the many people that have contributed, and we are now up to $3,500, so that's good. Our goal is $4,100, so we're about $600 away from our goal. Okay, to get in contact with the show, you may call at 1-877-932-9766. That is 1-877-932-9766. Or you can Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, @gmail.com. If you do take the Gmail route, probably we're not going to be able to get to your particular Gmail today, but we will get to it on an up-and-coming show. Okay, let's get this started. Mr. Fuller, on page 156, we're speaking about the law in the system of racism, white supremacy. You wrote this: do your best to guarantee yourself and all others that you will never willfully and deliberately do anything that you know will likely result in your being put into greater confinement for being guilty of any other than making a compensatory investment request. Could you pick up right underneath there at the end, at the bottom of 156?
Making a compensatory investment request means to ask white people for whatever help that you need in order to produce the most constructive results. These requests may include receiving necessary food, shelter, transportation, medical care, constructive teaching, etc., etc., etc. When asking white people for constructive help, and I call it compensatory investment requests, always do so with courtesy and without using violence or the threat of violence against them or their helpers. A universal compensatory investment request applies to every non-white person in the known universe who, because of the harmful effects of white supremacy, is not adequately able to constructively help himself or herself.
Mm-hmm.
It is incorrect to make a universal compensatory investment request if the person making the request has the ability, as mental or physical,
Yes, sir.
to do the constructive work that will result in his or her receiving the constructive help that he or she needs. Now, this compensatory investment request is nothing but what black people do in the prison system of white supremacy anyway. The entire system of white supremacy is a prison system. So all you're doing is just making a request of the wardens, the guards, the administrators of the prison. You're just asking for what you need, because that's what prisoners of war do.
Yes, sir.
When you're a prisoner of war, you just ask for the things that you need. But you don't violate any of the prison rules in the process of trying to get it yourself, because you're already in prison. What we call prison, like going to jail or something like that, that is greater confinement. That's what, in a compensatory sense, we call greater confinement, because if you are a person of color, you're already confined when you're born. You're born in prison. You are already a prisoner of war. Since the beginning of white supremacy, any person classified as non-white is born into a system that is already in place. It's called the government or the system of white supremacy.
Yes.
And that is a prison system for people of color.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
With everything that goes into, making up a prison. So anything that you want while you're in that prison, it's best just to ask for it. Don't try to steal it. Don't try to take it, because the administrators of this prison, this world prison that we're in, know how you're going about doing it. They know how to catch you.
Yes.
Sometimes they just let you go because they really don't think it's that important. What you did wasn't that important at the time. But if they really want to catch you, they know how their prison is run, meaning the world prison. And they can get you anywhere you go.
Yes, sir.
If you're a person of color.
Okay.
And
Now,
they know how you do what you do. If you're stealing something, if you work in an institution or something like that, and you think you can steal something and they don't know what you're doing, they are the masters of thievery. They steal whole people, whole continents, and have done it. They know how it's done. They know how all theft is done.
yes, sir.
So this little running around robbing and stealing that black people do all over the world, non-white people, in the prison system of white supremacy, they know exactly how you're going about doing it, and they know how far you can go while you're doing it.
Okay.
And they also know what punishment they can put on you for doing it, and they can catch you and will.
And we'll catch you.
Yes,
Right.
that's a given.
Okay.
So we should already know that by now.
Okay.
You can't get away with that stuff.
All right. Now, you say that near the bottom of the page, you said that when talking about the best and correct thing to say about greater confinement, that is jail, prison, etc., say the following. All right. Could you read that at the bottom of page 157?
Yes, what do you say about that when talking about the best and correct thing to say about greater confinement, meaning jail, prison, etc.? During the existence of white supremacy, any non-white person who willfully and deliberately does anything that he or she knows is likely to result in being put into greater confinement should expect to be put into greater confinement, and while there should expect no mercy, no comfort, and no help in being released. In other words, if you're out here doing something that you think might get you arrested, don't just assume that you are not going to make your situation worse.
Right.
Just you must assume that your situation is not going to get better, that your situation is going to get worse. Now, I'm talking worldwide now. Anytime you are so-called arrested, don't just assume, well, I can act tough and all like that, and I can be tough because now that I'm arrested, I'm going to show these people how much power I got, and I can take care of business because I know some people, and I know this, and I know that. Don't assume that you know anything of the kind, because you most likely will not get what you think you're going to get, and you're going to get a whole lot of what you didn't want. See, so that's why I say, to the extent, to the best of your ability, get this notion out of your head of thinking that after you get those cuffs on you, you got a lot going for you. Assume just the opposite, that you got everything going against you.
Okay.
That way you'll be more of a thinker about what to do and what not to do to make your situation worse.
All righty. Now, from this point on, or at least for the next maybe week or so, we are going to go very slow because the words or suggestions here are very important. Let's start off at the top of page 158. And then the question is, this is what you wrote. What is the correct thing to do about a non-white person who uses deadly violence or the threat of deadly violence to gain money and or material possessions from a non-white person? And continue with the answer, please, sir.
Okay, on page 158 it says, as long as racism exists, that's white supremacy, a non-white person who uses deadly violence or the threat of deadly violence to gain money or material possessions, that's robbing, from a non-white person, should be put into total greater solitary confinement until such time as he or she chooses to kill himself or herself, or until such time as all violence by non-white people against non-white people comes to an end throughout the known universe.
Explain that. Killing black.
That's exactly what I mean. You kill somebody, you should be put into what I call compensatory greater confinement. That's black people. I mean, all this killing that they got going on in what we call Chicago right now and throughout the world, Uganda, wherever it is, when you're caught and it's actually proven that you did it. Now, lots of people are charged falsely. Lots of people are locked up.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to make sure that you have the correct person.
Okay.
This person killed another black person in a robbery, trying to rob that person, or what you might call just for fun or for glory, which is what most killing is about. A lot of it is connected with not gaining something that you desperately have to have, but it's about some type of fun or some type of what they call beef, you insulted me or something like that. You do that willfully and deliberately and unjustly. I'm not talking about self-defense. Kill another person. Go seeking, walking around with a gun.
Yes.
Seeking a person to kill. You should be put in compensatory greater confinement. And kept there in solitary. That should be automatic all over the world. In other words, you have shown that you're not eligible to talk to anybody. Once you are convicted of this, you are not entitled to ever speak to anybody again. Why? Because the person that you kill can't speak to anybody again. That's what you call compensatory logic. We got to be serious about this. You killed a person. That person is not here. That person is not breathing. You think you should be going around talking to people when that person that you killed unjustly is not talking to anybody? No, you get the same thing that you put out.
Okay.
So you're put in solitary confinement. You don't even talk to a guard because the guard is prohibited from talking to you.
Okay.
You are put into what you call ironclad solitary confinement, where you don't talk to anybody but yourself, because that's who you earn. You earn the duty to talk to yourself. Now you're kept there and fed at least once a day, a decent meal through a trapdoor, and you stay there talking to yourself, and you have a companion in there because you used a weapon to kill somebody with. Now, the modern day will make it easy. You'll have the gun that you use to kill the person with, if they can find it, or something similar to it. And if you use a knife, that might be too messy. But your companion will be whatever instrument you use to kill another person with. That will be in that cell, in that greater confinement with you.
Why is that?
Because that's your companion. You have shown that's your best friend by using that your best friend to kill somebody, to take somebody else out of this world. So that is your companion. I mean, you and your companion should really love each other in that cell, because that's what you are going to be talking to from now on, your companion in crime, in killing, in robbing, in gang banging.
Okay.
That is your partner.
Okay.
And you'll have one bullet in there. Now, when you decide to use your companion, you'll make a contract, because you had a contract before when you did that other killing. That was your contract with you and your good buddy. That 9mm, whatever brand of semi-automatic pistol or revolver, whatever it was, 38, whatever it was, 44 caliber. That should really, make you happy when you hear that sound and that bullet, 44 caliber, 45 caliber, going through your brain or into your mouth, because you and your companion have that kind of contract. And that's the only contract you have with anybody on the planet. That's the understanding. I mean, we got to start making sense out of things. That makes sense. Nobody should be hired to wait for 16 months or 5 years or whatnot, and then a person, usually unknown, is hired to kill you after you have done this killing. No. You kill somebody, you kill yourself. That's the way that works. You kill somebody, that's the compensatory way, you kill yourself. And you do it at your own pace, because you killed that other person at your own pace. That other person wasn't ready to go, but you are given something that the other person didn't have. You can kill yourself anytime you get ready. So you're fed, and you stay in there talking to your companion, because that's the only object that you're going to be talking to other than the Creator. Okay. You're not going to have nothing else in that cell.
Okay.
You don't need any reading material, because you ain't going nowhere.
All righty. TalkTimidRadio.com is a 24/7 no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, politics. Now, here's several that I'd like to share with you. One is called Real Men. Another one is Front Street, and the other one is The Voice of Deliverance. Now, all these programs can be accessed by going to the TalkTimidRadio.com homepage. Click on programs for the scheduled times and a little bit about the show host. All these are exclusive to TalkTimidRadio.com radio, the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby, and I am the co-host on The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. We are in the fourth installment of the fifth area of people activity, the law. If you have any questions, you may do so by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby at Gmail, that's BOBBY, at gmail.com. And while you're there, hit that donate button on the page so that we can continue with the second hour on the compensatory concept. Any amount that you want to give will be appreciated. Betty Smith, Noreen Parker, Anita Taylor, Dominic Major, EA2 Consultants, thank you. And Lauren Goodo, thank you for your contributions. Mr. Fuller, you are speaking about, a person should have that tool there to do themselves or to kill themselves. These people that are going around killing people, drive-bys or whatever, should be locked up in this confinement, and then with that tool to do themselves in. Under notes on that, you wrote, read what you wrote under the notes. That's on page 158. When you had given that answer, you said notes about the material ability.
The material ability for killing himself or herself should be at all times present with the person within his or her total greater solitary confinement circumstance. In other words, you put the weapon in there.
Yes.
When you put the person in there, you give them their friend. That's their friend.
Okay.
That's their companion.
Okay, and continue with that. This is very important. Continue with that. Those
who are willing to kill for fun, glory, or material gain should be willing to kill themselves for doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Fun, glory, or material gain. You're going to kill somebody now for that. You should be willing to kill yourself.
Okay.
I mean, you don't care anything. You care more about whatever you got from the person than you did about the person. That's why you took whatever you wanted to from the person, and then you killed the person, and then you went away, ha, ha, ha. Okay, so when you're caught, you should say, this is the law of compensation now. We're talking about laws. We're talking about the area of activity, fifth area of activity according to the code called law. And this should be a universal law, worldwide, no exceptions. And everybody should be aware of the law. See, I mean, you don't sneak up on people with that law, and they say, I didn't know anything about that, No, everybody should be well informed. You should be taught about this in the first grade or right at your grandmother's knee or whatever, that this is what happens to you, and it should be worldwide so that nobody is ignorant of this.
Okay.
Because it makes sense. It's the only thing that makes sense when it comes to this killing and punishment for killing.
Okay.
If you stop and think about it, you might have to stop and think about it for a while. But you kill someone willfully, deliberately, and unjustly. I'm not talking about self-defense now. I'm talking about you go out yang banging or whatever it is, and you think that's fun. You think you get some glory, another tattoo or something like that. You should be willing, actually willing. Say, yeah.
Okay.
I killed 40 people, in my entire career and all like that. Well, when you're caught, well, hey, 40 is a pretty good number. So you should be willing to give one for 40, and that one is you.
Okay. Now, then, according to your compensatory logic, then you have no problem with former New England patriot Aaron Hernandez, who was convicted of killing Odin Lloyd. They got him, they put him in prison, and he was in solitary confinement, and he hung himself. He killed himself. Now, he didn't kill himself with a weapon, as you suggest that they should, but he hung himself with a rope. Now, you're okay with that?
If he did it, yes.
Well, it was proven that he did do it.
Yes. Well, then that is the correct thing to do. You don't take a person out of this world. See, people even say, there used to be an old saying, sometimes grandmothers would say it, I brought you into this world, I'll take you out. Well, wait a minute. You were the vehicle for bringing the person into the world. But you didn't really bring the person into the world. The Creator did that. All right? So you go around, thinking that it's fun to keep destroying what the Creator created, then you think it's fun, and the Creator allows you to do it. Something created all of us, so now you owe a debt. If you did it unjustly, if you did it because you thought it was fun or for glory or to impress your friends and all this type of stuff, or because you needed something or thought you needed something that the person had.
Okay.
So you killed a person, you robbed a person. I'll take what you got and I'll kill you. That's a good exchange. No, it isn't. That's an incorrect exchange.
Okay.
All right, it's best to beg for what you want. Really. People say, well, hey, I ain't going to be no beggar and whatnot. Well, hey, we beg. We come into the world begging. Stop and think about it now. We come into the world begging. And if you stay here long enough, I don't care who you are, you're going to go out begging. You're going to go out begging for help. Please take me to the hospital. Please roll my wheelchair. Please bring me some food. I can't lift my head up because I'm too weak. All you got to do is keep getting up in the morning and going to bed at night. I don't care who you are. You stand here on this planet or send a message. If you just stay here on this planet long enough, just like you came here begging, yelling from that crib for somebody to give you something because you can't help yourself, you stay here long enough, you're going to be right back in that situation again. And that's not Neely full of talking. You know that from observation. So you're going to be a beggar anyway. So don't say you don't beg. And the white supremacists put this idea out here, well, don't be a beggar. Work for what you get. Then they set it up so you can't get nothing by working. All right? That's the trick that they pull. No. You beg them if necessary. Begging just means asking more than once. When you ask a person for anything more than once, you're begging. So don't say you don't beg. If you have ever asked anybody for anything more than once, you have begged.
Okay.
So begging is not a terrible thing to do. It's better than killing and robbing.
Okay,
I'll tell you that.
Okay,
it's
now
better than killing and robbing.
Before we go to break, read that line there. It starts with "unless it is necessary."
Where is that?
In the middle of page 158. Unless it is necessary.
You mean, oh yes, unless it is necessary, avoid saying the names or titles of any persons involved in the non-just killing of people. Speak against all non-just killing any place in the known universe. Always suggest that all people who willfully, deliberately, and non-justly kill other people be greatly influenced to also kill themselves.
Wow.
Always suggest that all people who willfully, deliberately, and non-justly kill other people be greatly influenced to also kill themselves. In other words, when you visit your buddy in the lockup, you know that he killed that person, you tell him, hey man, when you going?
TalkTimeAtRadio.com. We go where you go, and you can check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. Download the TalkTimeAtRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. Coming up next, the Groveland 4 and your questions and Gmails. All this and more on TalkTimeAtRadio.com.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kickin online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kickin products are better than those other guys. Ash-kicking candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kicking online at www.ashkickin.com.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cut Above the Rest barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
Do you have problems controlling high blood pressure? Good news. You can enroll in Helping Hands Health and Wellness Center's health coaching program utilizing the innovative Twine Health platform. We will help you set your goals, keep in touch with you via your cell phone, and may provide you a free blood pressure cuff. Call us at 614-462-0114 or visit us on the web at www.helpinghandsfreeclinic.org to see if you qualify. This program is provided to you by a grant from the CVS Health Foundation.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio, the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. We are on the fourth installment in the fifth area of a people activity called the law. We're speaking with Neely Fuller Jr. And let's go. Oh, by the way, if you need to get in contact with the show, you may do so by calling 614-228-1708. That's 614-228-1708. Or you can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. Donate button is right on that homepage. Hit that. We are now at 35 or 3,600. We're very close now. All you have to do is just hit that donate button. It is tax deductible. That's for the second hour of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Okay, let's go to the Gmails. And this is from Root Dog, Mr. Fuller, and it's a little, well, anyway, I'll read it. It says, Mr. Fuller, how should a victim of racism or the surviving family members respond to an apology by suspected racist white supremacists? What is the correct compensatory response to an after-the-fact apology 50 years later? And he was speaking about the Groveland 4. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
Okay, well, let me just give you a brief little thing that he has written. He said the Groveland Boys, or Groveland 4, were four young African-American men, Ernest Thomas, Charles Greenlee, Samuel Shepard, and Walter Irvin, who were accused of raping a 17-year-old white woman in Lake County, Florida. In 1948, Thomas was killed as a suspect by a posse after leaving the area. Greenlee, Shepard, and Irvin were beaten while in jail to coerce confessions, but Irvin refused to confess falsely. The three survivors were each convicted at a trial by an all-white jury. Greenlee was sentenced to life because he was only 16 years old at the time of the event. The other two were sentenced to death. A retrial was ordered by the United States Supreme Court after hearing the appeals led by Thurgood Marshall of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Let's see here. In November of 1951, Sheriff Willis McCall shot both Shepard and Irvin while they were in his custody, saying that they tried to escape. Shepard died on the spot. Irvin told investigators that the sheriff shot them in cold blood. At the second trial, Irvin was convicted again and sentenced to death. His sentence was commuted to life by the governor in 1955. In 1968, he was paroled. The four men were posthumously exonerated on April the 18th, 2017, by a resolution passed by the Florida House of Representatives. The state also apologized to their families for the racial injustice of the case, and lawmakers called on Florida Governor Rick Scott to officially pardon the men. In 2016, both the city of Groveland and Lake County offered apologies to the men and their families and began lobbying state lawmakers to do the same. On Tuesday, April the 18th, 2017, the Florida House of Representatives unanimously passed a resolution apologizing to the families of the Groveland Four and exonerating the men. The resolution also called on Governor Rick Scott to expedite the process for granting posthumous pardons. So he was saying, Root Dog was saying, how should a victim of racism or the surviving family members respond to an apology by the suspected racist white supremacist? And then he says, what is the correct compensatory response to an after-the-fact apology, in this case, 50 years later?
Yeah, an apology is something that a person gives voluntarily. You don't ever ask for an apology. There's three things you don't ever ask for in your entire existence. Never ask for an apology, never ask for love, and as a third one, sometimes I have a senior moment here, and but those are two. Never ask for an apology, never ask for love. Those are two things. Those are supposed to be given. Oh yes, the third one, never ask for respect. That's a big one, right? And you definitely don't ask for an apology. An apology is supposed to be given. If you got to ask for it, it's not worth anything, and it's not worth much when a person gives it. So what you want is compensation. That's the word. The compensatory law. This is what the whole code is about: compensation. And so automatically, a person who has gone through that type of suffering and whatnot and found to be not guilty of doing unjust harm to someone else, that person should be guaranteed at least four things right off the bat, and that is housing. I call it the big four in compensatory law. I mean, birds and animals and cats and dogs, they need housing, okay? So people need that. So you're guaranteed that. You'll always have a place to stay, as long as, what you call a decent place to stay. They got to guarantee that to all of the people and their families, okay, the people who depend on them, okay. Education, you get that, automatic. Pick out school you want to go to it. I mean, your children go to it if you're not going yourself and whatnot. Transportation, always have that. You automatically get that. Transportation any place you want to go, all right, because all these things have been denied you, okay. You didn't get any of these things when you were locked up and whatnot. So these are the big four. And the fourth one is health care, automatic health care for you and your immediate kin. I mean, that should be the law of compensation everywhere, all the time. I mean, and that'll break these people of making, these horrendous mistakes, as you might call them, or when they do it deliberately or whatever. It's got to be compensated. And the people who were instrumental in causing, if there's some brutality, I mean, they went overboard in doing something against the people unjustly and all like that, some of that like in the case of law enforcement officers, see, people keep wringing their hands about, how do you control these law enforcement officers who, some of whom may be race soldiers and whatnot, and keep them from doing all the things that they're doing? Hey, some of this comes out of your pocket, mister. All right? On the next job you get. Okay? Look forward to that when you get out of that uniform and take off that badge and go to work in a warehouse. Oh, it's not over. Now you have to start taking some of this out of your salary and giving it to the people that you harm. That's the deal. That's the law of compensation. You clean up what you messed up. Don't dump it on somebody else. All right? That's the way that works. Everybody on the planet should understand this. It's simple. I mean, that's what you call kindergarten logic. I mean, hey, clean up what you messed up. That's what you tell people, in the house or something like that. You're going around deliberately and knocking things over and spilling stuff. You say, well, you did it because you were angry about something. You knocked over the lantern. You spilled food all over the floor. So, now that you've done all this, the theater is over. The show is over. We got the point. Now you can clean it up. And, on your own strength.
Okay.
These are excellent lessons. You teach people correctly to do the correct thing by this. This old stuff we're talking about, dumping it on the taxpayers and all like that, on this law enforcement officer who's out here doing this and doing that and getting ready to do it again. No, you start taking something away from him. He understands that. Okay? Just like you took something away from somebody else, sir or ma'am, get ready to have something taken from you. You got to understand the law of compensation. You got to compensate. You compensate.
All
Not
right.
dump it on somebody else.
Okay. TalkToHim@radio.com. We go where you go, and you can download the TalkToHim@radio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. We are discussing the fifth area of people activity, the fourth installment, the law. If you'd like to get in contact with the show, you may call 1-614-228-1708 or Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com. Mr. Fuller, could you briefly speak to your book?
You can get the book by going to producejustice.com. And these suggestions in the book all made directed to the individual victim of white supremacy. If you perceive yourself as you have been labeled as a non-white person, you're in that non-white category. You were told this, that you were in the non-white category. So you're one of the non-white people here on the planet. So the book is written for you. How do you react to being told that you are not only non-white, black, brown, red, yellow, tan, beige, whatever, a person, you might say, broadly speaking, of color. If you have color in your skin, you're classified as non-white. Then what do you do when you're mistreated because you're non-white? That makes you a victim of racism. So the book is written for people who perceive themselves to be victims. Now, if you don't perceive yourself as being a victim of racism, if you don't think of yourself as being that, then nobody ever mistreated you because of your color or someone associated with you because of color and whatnot, then it doesn't apply to you. But the book is written about what do you do? What do you say? You speak to people all the time. What do you say when people say certain things to you? What are the words that you use exactly that will get the best result? That's supposed to be the theory behind what I have written, the textbook for victims of racism, the compensatory code. What do you say to compensate for this? What do you do to compensate for it in all 9 areas of activity? So the book is written for the victims of racism, and you can get the book by going to producejustice.com. That's producejustice.com.
Okay, from the Gmails, we have this from Dr. Lawson. He says, Mr. Fuller, can you read and explain the first full paragraph on page 157? By the way, Dr. Lawson, we did not skip over it. It was a deliberate move to expedite the show. But anyway, Mr. Fuller, he wanted you to read and explain the first full paragraph on page 157.
It starts on page 156, correct?
I'm going to assume that it does, which is
right,
a bad
okay.
word. Yeah.
It says, making a compensatory investment request means to ask white people for whatever help that you need in order to produce constructive results. I'm going to repeat that because I keep saying this compensatory investment request. We call it begging. Really, that's what it is, because you have to keep asking more than twice, so you're actually begging. But I call it officially a compensatory investment request. Now, what do I mean by that? I want to stop right there. Compensatory investment request. Compensatory means you're making up for what's missing, meaning you're trying to get something that you don't have. You got something missing, like money, like housing, like education, like health care, like a lot of things. So compensation means you make up for what is missing by making a request for what is missing. And you consider that request of what? An investment. An investment in what? An investment in me. If I'm making a request, I'm saying, hey, I'm trying to make up for what I didn't get that I should have had. I should have had an education. But under the system of white supremacy, do I get an education that would help me to take care of myself and to help others? No. Even the white supremacists sometimes admit that. Oh, you're not learning nothing that's worth anything. You're learning a whole bunch of garbage, but you're not learning nothing that'll put you on your own 2 feet and put you in position to help yourself all the way and help other people all the way or part of the way. No, we don't put you in a position like that. We put you in a position where you're always begging, always dependent. So this begging, I put in the form of sophisticated language, a compensatory investment request. Now I'll go back to the statement. Making a compensatory investment request means to ask white people for whatever help that you need in order to produce constructive results. Because the help that we get now is not producing constructive results. Just look at our condition. If you're a person of color, all over the world, we don't have any constructive results to any move we make. I mean, everything is a mess in every area of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. So we're not getting the correct compensation.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
So these requests may include receiving necessary food, shelter, transportation, medical care, constructive teaching. And when asking white people for constructive help, always do so with courtesy and without using violence or the threat of violence against them or their helpers. That's why you're asking. You don't say, if you don't do it, I'm going to do this to you. I'm going to hurt you. No, that's not the way to ask somebody for anything. That's not asking. That's not the correct procedure. You ask with courtesy.
Okay.
You always ask anybody for something you need with courtesy.
All righty.
Now, when it comes to open warfare, that's a different thing.
That's a different thing. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Go ahead, caller. You're on with Mr. Fuller.
Hello, sir. Hello, Dr. Fuller. How are you doing this morning?
I'm still learning.
Okay. I'm a listener and I'm a student of your work. And we refer to our leaders as being spokesmen, but not like people who demand. And I looked into that. You're correct. But our leaders, I think, this is my, I think that our leaders should be not asking the white supremacists for help, but to turn that focus back to us and teaching us a new code and how to live and how to act and how to resolve around that. So then we can start with ourselves, and our leaders can enforce that, and we need to hold them accountable for doing that, but not going to the white supremacists. We need to start with ourselves, but we need to start with our leaders too, and pack and enforce that. Because most people say that, blacks need to start having a new code among themselves and learn how to live right and the stuff that you preach. But if our leaders enforce it, I think that'll be a bigger impact. So we can get to them with doing that. I don't know how or what, but your acknowledging as well, your knowledge and what you've written and your doctrine, that'll be a great start. I don't know how we can do that, but we need to get I think that'll be a great plan to start that way and hold them accountable for doing that. And I think that'll be a great change.
Okay, so did you have a question, or you just wanted to make that comment?
I just want to make that comment.
Okay, all righty.
It was my what do you call it?
VGQ?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I don't know how to get that started, but Neely Fuller was right. We can start with ourselves.
Okay.
That'd be the biggest impact. Then we can get it through our leaders to do that and hold them accountable. Make sure we do that.
Well,
and I think that's the best way to start with that.
Okay, under VGQ. Thank you very much. Mr. Fuller, you care to respond to that?
Well, under VGQ, I say that people should consider everything that the caller said as victims guaranteed qualification. He's qualified to make that suggestion. All suggestions should be considered. But then I would like to say something that's in the code, and that is, when, according to what I've written, there's no such thing as a black leader in the system of white supremacy. All of the leaders of black people on this planet are white in the system of white supremacy. See, a leader has power. Black people have no power. Black people who are supposed to be leaders have no power, except the same power that each individual black person has, and that is the power to do what? To ask for what you want. See, we're talking about asking now, making compensatory investment requests. So each individual can do that and should do it. That's the suggestion I have in the textbook. Whatever you need as an individual. So you're not asking for anybody else. You're asking for yourself.
Okay.
On that job, I mean, hey, you don't necessarily have to go and round up everybody else. You go and say, hey, this is what I think that I'm entitled to.
Okay. Now,
right?
the first full paragraph, as Dr. Lawson has pointed out, actually began with what you just said, and he wants you to read and explain that. Speaking about a universal compensatory investment request applies to every. Could you start there and finish that? It's on page 157.
A universal compensatory investment request applies to every non-white person in the known universe. That's as an individual. I'm just saying that. Who, because of the harmful effects of white supremacy, is not adequately able to constructively help himself or herself. See, you come into the world as an individual. You're by yourself. Even if you're a twin, you're still by yourself. You're an individual. That should be regarded within itself. You are entitled to care as an individual. That's why the concept of paying one black person off at the pay window, and then when the second black person steps up and say, "Where's my check?" the person who hands out the check says, "Oh, I gave it to your brother. You know, you black people all together, so I gave your check to your brother. He just walked away from the window 15 minutes ago. You might can catch up with him. He caught the bus." No, sir. Let me explain something to you. The law of compensation says you owe me. By paying him, you're not paying me. And black people themselves, as individuals, that's the United Independent Compensatory Concept. A lot of black people and the white supremacists have been getting away with it by saying, well, we gave you people collectively this, that, and the other last year. Each and every individual black person on the planet, the white supremacist owes. You cannot pay me by paying my grandmother. My grandmother is old. You pay her. You pay her her check. And then when I come to the window, you pay me my check, because as an individual, you owe me. They said, well, you all family and all like that. No, it doesn't work like that, sir. You have to pay off everybody as individuals according to their needs. That's how you do it. Different people have different needs. You give me something according to my needs. And helping my brother, my cousin, and whatnot, you're supposed to do that. But they had needs that are different from mine.
Okay.
I'm an individual. That's the United Independent concept.
Let me say this. First of all, I'd like to apologize for all that background noise, but one of our...
I hear a lot of it.
Yes, a lot of our listeners have said this, and apparently this is the only program that appears that this is happening to, but one of our listeners, Dr. Javari, wrote this. He said that the noise that you hear, this is a common practice with ISPs who are funded by a certain group of people, which I'm not going to name right now, to block anything in the alternative movement to prevent awakening or at least delay, since they cannot stop it. We all know God is in charge and cannot be stopped. They will continue their interference techniques. There are many of them they utilize. You just have to keep on adapting to the way that your melanin knows best. Dr. Javari is talking about the interference that you hear now. It's not caused by Mr. Fuller or by the radio station, but by people who are in control of the ISPs to get or distort Mr. Fuller's message. Anyway, when you hear the music, TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Stay tuned for the second hour on radio the way it should be heard.
Thanks for listening to The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all racial matters is why. One should always ask it.
Radio, the way it should be heard.
You've got the power. The world's greatest radio. TalkTainmentRadio.com. Talktainment Radio, worldwide sound. TalkTainmentRadio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
This is The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
All righty, welcome to the second hour of The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is Radio the Way It Should Be Heard. The phone lines are open, and you can call at 1-614-228-1708, or you can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, B-O-B-B-Y, at gmail.com. And since this is the second hour, this is the donation hour. And all you have to do is go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage. There is a donate button there. Hit it and apply any amount that you want to for the continuation of the second hour of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. Trust me on this one. Mr. Fuller's message is getting out, and there are people that don't like that and don't want that. Mr. Fuller refers to them as the usual suspects. And trust me on this one, they are at work trying to distort the message any way they can, including today. This is why you hear this interference in the background. We are doing our best at TalkTainmentRadio.com to work on that so that Mr. Fuller can be heard and you can be heard. but that is what they are doing. They are doing that. It's not Mr. Fuller. It's not the radio station. It's them. So we're doing our best to combat that. But anyway, continue to give any amount that you want to so that we can continue to get this great message out. And many of you are responding, including our young people, which I'm very happy to report. It's just fantastic. Mr. Fuller, your message is just getting out. Okay. We are speaking on the fifth area of people activity. This is the fourth installment of it, the law, and we've had some good questions, some good answers, and we're going to start on page 158. That's in the revised, expanded edition of the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept. At the bottom of it, Mr. Fuller, we're going to address a question that you rose. It says, what is the correct thing to say that should be done with a person who willfully, deliberately, maliciously, and unjustly kills any person? And your answer was?
Such person should be put into maximum emergency, compensatory, solitary, that's in parentheses, confinement. Now, what do I mean by, you call it an emergency because it is. It's a maximum emergency when you unjustly, willfully, deliberately, maliciously kill another person. And underline that, unjustly. Not talking about self-defense. Talking about you had malice and you willfully and deliberately killed another person on account of you that felt like you wanted to do it. You have a beef or whatever, all right? So you should be put into maximum emergency because this is an emergency. Anytime you kill people, you're talking about an emergency. This is no small thing. We take it as a small thing because the white supremacist has made a world where killing is supposed to be fun. Killing is something that's glorified. You have reenactments of battlefields and all like that. People dress up. And people go to what we call video games, I understand, and play all kinds of, blowing up things with people in them and seeing people burned alive and all that type of thing. And so, a young person sitting there looking at that, they grow up with a steady diet of killing is fun. Boy, I mean, bang, 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 and watching somebody fall down bleeding. Begging for mercy.
So what should we do about that?
Yes. So you put a person who does that unjustly into that solitary confinement, and I described that early on. But I want to add a few things.
Okay.
You don't talk to anybody except, and I said this before, once you go into that solitary confinement. Now, how will they know from day to day, since they're feeding you through a trapdoor and you're not talking to anybody and nobody talks to you? And the only person or the only thing you talk to is the weapon that you use because that's the only thing in there with you. Okay? Now, so suppose you die in there because you do kill yourself. How do they know you're dead? Well, for one thing, the food tray doesn't come back. That's an indication. So they'll wait several days or a couple of weeks, whatever time is set, and when the food tray doesn't come back, I mean, you don't get food until the tray comes back, so therefore they can assume that they can open it now, and you have met your mate, met your match. Your match being yourself. See, nobody should be paid to kill another person. This thing of what we have set up now, of lethal injection and all like that, and everybody sitting, people sitting, spectators sitting on the other side of a glass, watching it and all that. No, that's making a sport out of killing. Stop and think about it, folks. That's making some kind of sport. People come in and take a seat. I mean, and look and see the person being executed. And sometimes you even have a religious person there. I mean, officiating over it or saying a few words and all like that. I mean, what is this? That's real primitive. I mean, that's absurd. If you stop and think about it, logically speaking, I always say follow the logic. That makes no sense.
Then what is the constructive result of doing that?
The constructive result is the law of compensation. People should understand all over the world that you should get what you put out. That's what you call the law of compensation. When you go out on a farm and you put seed in the ground, you expect to get a return on your investment. You put seed in the ground, and then the oranges come up. The watermelon comes up. Yes, watermelon. Right. An excellent food. The white supremacists have us laughing at people that eat watermelon. It ain't nothing to laugh at about a watermelon. Watermelon is one of the best foods you can eat. Okay, I just want to throw that in there.
Okay.
But you get compensated by going out and working. Farmers understand that. That's why farmers don't like nonsense talk. If you ever talk to a real farmer, farmers don't have time for nonsense because they deal with what? They deal with the natural order of things. The white supremacists are always trying to get people to get away from the natural order of things.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say one of the natural orders is people killing people. No, that's an artificial thing that they keep pushing, and we should get out of that.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
That whole thing. And so I'm just saying, you stay in there until you kill yourself, because that's what you should do. You took something away from here, you should take yourself away.
Okay, that's a constructive result.
And then not only that, talking about apologies now. Sometimes a person is asked to apologize in court. Apologize to the family. No, you apologize to the person that you killed.
But they're dead.
Yes, but there's only one way to do that.
And
you
that's
got to go where they went.
You got to kill yourself.
You got to go. If you're going to apologize to the person that you killed, you got to go where that person went.
Oh, okay. Let's take a phone call. Go ahead, caller. You're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead. You're on with Mr. Fuller.
I just had a quick question. Maybe I'll study. I've been trying to speak with Mr. Fuller concerning Arizona.
Okay, wait a minute. This is what I think I need you to do. Kind of back away from your telephone and then speak slowly, because you're being interfered with. It's probably not your fault. We suspect we know who it is, but we really can't hear you properly. So maybe back away from your phone and speak clearly so that Mr. Fuller and the rest of the world can hear what you have to say.
Okay.
My
question is concerning the area of law.
You're still coming in broken up.
Yeah, I don't think that's her fault, Mr. Fuller. The other people are really interfering with that, so we're trying to do as best as we can. So if I hear the question, I will repeat it, to you. Go ahead, ma'am.
I'm sorry about that.
It's not your fault. Go ahead.
I was arrested for a false police report recently. I was incarcerated for 2 weeks. And when I got out, I was being harassed by the
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, you were harassed by police or law enforcement officials?
No, by other non-females.
Okay, by non. Okay, so I can hear you properly. You were harassed by white or black females?
Black females, correct.
Okay, black females. Okay.
Yes, and I have exercised by the people, no contact, no conflict. I have no contact with people, but I continue to be harassed, and I call officers.
Okay. Ed, I'm sorry. She's breaking up so bad I can't hear her, and Mr. Fuller can't hear her. Ma'am, I am so sorry. I tell you what, if you could text me, then I could read your question, but it's almost impossible to hear you. It's not your fault, ma'am. It's the usual suspects that are doing that. So Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com, and I will make sure that the staff put yours right up front so that your question can be addressed. And I do apologize for that. Okay. Sorry about that, Mr. Fuller. We just could not hear her.
I understand.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Okay, you can go to the next caller.
Well, we have to go to the Gmail because they're really messing around with that. You mentioned on the page 159, we were speaking about maximum emergency compensatory, and you had in quotations solitary confinement, and kept there with the same or similar tool, you mentioned weapon, or substance that he or she used to kill that person. Well, you know, today they're not going to give you a weapon with a gun in it and all that. They're not going to do that. But anyway, you wrote under notes, you said compensatory constructive isolation, and then you went on to explain that. That's right under that. Could you, under notes, could you explain that or read that?
On what page?
159.
Compensatory constructive isolation
means
an almost total isolation from people or creatures, except to be given very carefully chosen reading or study materials that are of constructive value. Now, this is not for killing. This is when a person is just in what you might call general confinement.
Okay.
See, in other words, you just don't want to lock a person up, like most black people are locked up, and they just kind of sit there and whatnot. No, they should be learning something about the world that they're in. All materials that will give them the truth about what's going on. That type of material. Not a whole bunch of stuff about reading a lot of stuff about what got them in there in the first place. I mean, and where they can get out and do more of it. I mean, you want to get out and do something different because you don't want to go wind up right back where you started from.
Right. Okay.
So you want to understand the entire system, and that includes the system of white supremacy itself. See what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And I would recommend even my book to be in every prison.
Okay. Now.
Every grade of confinement.
Okay.
I mean, where people are going to come out. They're doing time for something like theft, or stealing a car or something like that, where they didn't kill someone in a robbery.
Okay.
I mean, once you kill somebody, I mean, that all bets are off. You got to go where the person that you killed went. That's just a no-brainer.
Okay. Now
that's no deal. That's not arbitrary.
Right. Okay. Now this is very important. You have two on page 159 of the revised expanded edition. You have two bold prints that if people who have the book can turn to that page and see what Mr. Fuller is getting ready to read. And for those who don't have the book, this is why you need the book, so that you can see what he has written and also defeat what the usual suspects are trying to do with this program over the air. But Mr. Fuller, can you go to that paragraph right in the middle? If you
choose to willfully and deliberately kill or do other harm to a person intentionally, and after having done so, you expect someone to speak and or act to defend or in some way help you, do not do any of the following. Number one, do not pretend that you did not do what you did. Do not apologize for having done what you did. This stuff of saying, well, I'm sorry for what I did. No, you're sorry you got caught.
Yes.
I mean, no, that won't fly.
Mm-hmm.
That's not worth anything. That apology is not worth anything. Do not apologize for having done what you did. Number 3, do not ask for forgiveness.
Now, you said ask for forgiveness here.
On
the 3, you said ask for forgiveness for having done what you did. You didn't say do not, unless that's...
Yes, it says up at the beginning, it says do not do
anything. Okay, I got you, okay.
Do not ask for forgiveness for having done what you did.
Okay.
That's why you did it. You didn't want somebody to forgive you for doing what you deliberately did. You deliberately did this. I use the word willfully and deliberately. I'm not talking about some reaction under duress or something like that.
Yes.
You killed a person, but you really wasn't intending to do it. I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
I'm talking about you willfully did this.
Okay.
You wanted this person out of here, and that person is gone. All right? So you don't ask for forgiveness for that. You stand by it. You say, yeah, I did it.
Okay, yes.
In fact, on second thought, if I could do it over, I'd do it again. See what I mean? That should be your position, because that's the position you took in the beginning. Stick with your position.
Okay.
It's a slogan that goes throughout the entire code. Stand by your work.
Stand by your work. Yes, sir.
Yeah, whatever you do, willfully and deliberately.
Number
you stand
4.
by it. Don't you ever back down and say, hey, no, and start slipping and sliding. No. You willfully and deliberately, and you know you would do it again. You know that you would do it again. Then say so. Tell the truth. All right?
Yes, sir.
Do not ask for mercy for having done what you did. Why? Because the person that you did it to probably asked for mercy. You didn't care nothing about that. Go ahead and ask. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm getting you out of here. I'm going to kill you. I don't care how many times you ask. So now, when someone puts you into confinement where you have an opportunity to kill yourself, or when someone even threatens to kill you for having done what you did, you shouldn't ask for mercy. You should say, hey, I did what I had to do or what I chose to do. Y'all do what y'all want to do. That should be your position. I mean, we got to get serious about this nonsense.
Sir. Yes, sir.
We are not serious about this serious matter. Killing is serious business. We have to learn to take it as serious business and stop this foolishness.
And number 5.
And number 5, do not say or imply that you would not do what you did again. No, well, you should walk in and say, yeah, I did it. I mean, I did an excellent job, And I mean, y'all give me about 10 minutes and whatnot, I'm going to do the same thing again if I have to do it, or if I choose to do it, or if you give me the opportunity to do it. I got some more to do. I ain't nearly finished. That should be your position. Standing there talking about, well, I'm sorry. No. We have too much falsehood. See what I mean? Because you're not.
Okay.
You're not. If you willfully and deliberately.
Okay.
See, I use 2 words here.
Yes, you
willfully
did.
and deliberately. I'm not talking about somebody that came up behind you, and out of fear or passion or something like that, you kill somebody or something like that. I mean, I'm not talking about all those details, all those variables that should be considered in a court. No. But when you consider yourself, hey, I'm king of the world, I killed anybody I don't like for whatever reason, the way they looked at me and something like that, I'll kill them. And ain't nothing supposed to be done about it. Well, now, if you take that position, nobody's supposed to defend you. That's the position that you took. So you should be willing, just like you killed that 1 or 2 people, you should be willing to take on everybody in the world who doesn't like it. Not one at a time, but all of them at once. How about that, mister? I mean, 200 or 300 people coming at you at the same time with everything that they can possibly have. Can you handle it? You should be able to. See, if you can't handle that situation, you ain't got no business trying to handle that one situation.
Yes, sir.
Where you cornered somebody and shot them because wasn't nothing coming back at you. See, it's a different thing when you got stuff coming back at you.
Gotcha.
See, and I don't want to hear all that crying for mercy and whatnot.
I got
Nobody should.
Nobody should. TalkTimeAtRadio.com is a 24/7, no-charge, worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, politics, and here's several that I'd like to read to you. New money. You need to understand what money is, not that currency that they tell you it is. But new money is one. The Voices of Pink Pearl and Your Time. Now, all these programs are exclusive to TalkTimeAtRadio.com, and all you have to do is go to the homepage, click on programs, and a brief description of the program and times will come up. I think the show host. All these are on TalkTimeAtRadio.com. That's radio the way it should be heard. All righty. My name is Mr. Bobby. I'm the co-host of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. We are discussing the 5th area of people activity, law. And if you have any questions, you can attempt to call in by calling 1-614-228-1708, or you can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, Bobby, at gmail.com. And I will try to read your Gmails. Chances are they're not going to get on this week, but I will eventually, my staff will make sure that I get to them. While you're there, by the way, on that homepage, hit that donate button so that we can continue with the second hour in spite of people trying to, the usual suspects, trying to distort Mr. Fuller's voice, his words, the callers. It's not your fault. We're working on it. We've tried to identify what's going on here. And anyway, Mr. Fuller's message is powerful. It is getting out in spite of all the things that they are trying to do. But Brian McCarthy, thank you. Torrance Morgan, thank you. Gabriel Murphy, thank you. Cornelius Baker, thank you. Donna Howard, thank you. And Markham Smith, thank you for your donations for the second hour of the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Mr. Fuller, moving on in the area of law, we're going to go on page 160, and you have written ask two questions that need to be addressed, and I'm going to read them. First of all, the first question is, this is at the top of the page, question, is it correct for one person to willfully and deliberately put another person to death, parentheses, through execution after putting that person into greater confinement, which would jail? And then number two, as long as white supremacy, racism exists, what is the correct thing to do or say when a white person willfully, deliberately, and unjustly participates in or directly or indirectly helps to promote the killing of or do serious injury to a non-white person?
Well, I'll answer the second question first.
Okay.
And the answer to that question, as long as white supremacy exists, what is the correct thing to do with a white person who willfully, deliberately, and unjustly participate in or directly and indirectly helps to promote the killing of or do serious injury to a non-white person? And we're talking about unjustly now. Well, according to the compensatory counter-racist logic, it is correct to say that the white person should be regarded as a racist war criminal.
Okay.
And as such, be put into maximum emergency compensatory solitary confinement. See, it should be across the board about that.
Okay.
Any kind of unjust killing.
Yes, sir.
And kept there until he or she kills himself or herself, or until such time, and this is the other way that they can get out of it, or until such time as no white person is directly or indirectly involved in the willful, deliberate, and unjust killing or serious injury to a non-white person. In other words, that white person stays there until they kill themselves after you lock them up. Just like, see, it's got to be across the board. These are suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was implied, and correctly so, earlier in this program, well, that's not no law. What Fuller's talking about ain't no law nowhere. What is he talking about? These are suggestions for laws. See what I mean?
Yes,
Everything in this textbook is a suggestion for laws that when black people are asked questions about what should be done, these are the things that I suggest, based on logic, that should be said. See what I mean? And then we can get rid of a lot of the nonsense eventually. But laws can be made. The people who make laws, eventually somebody might say, hey, that law makes sense. Let's go for it. And then somebody else says it, and somebody else says it. Next thing you know, we might, you got to start somewhere. But these are the kind of things we should ask for, so we can take all this nonsense of killing out of this world, this willful, deliberate, and unjust killing of people, which is what the white supremacists thrive on. And they have taught the whole world and embellished it and done everything to glamorize it. Murder mysteries. These are the most sought-after books on the market. Murder mysteries. Who done it? Kill somebody, and somebody out there somewhere try to figure out who did it. That's what they call it.
Yes, sir.
Whodunits. See, so we should get rid of that. And here in these paragraphs, I'm saying the white person, and there's plenty of white people who like killing non-white people, should be put in the same maximum emergency solitary confinement with the weapon that they use, stay there until they use it, or until there's no more white people out here killing any non-white people at all.
Yes, sir.
Now, if that happens, you might be released. You be brought back and given maybe a second chance. But if there's any killing of non-white people anywhere in the world going on while you're locked up, you can't get out of there until you kill yourself or until all of the killing on the outside of where you are comes to a stop.
All righty. Dr. Omo, and by the way, Dr. Omo, I call everybody doctor, so because of your own experience, we call that VGQ. But anyway, Dr. Omo was the one that called and we couldn't get through. Well, Mr. Fuller, I have her Gmail. They gave it to me right at the top. So what I'm going to do when we go to, wow, I just lost my screen. Let me see if I can get that back. But when we go to our break, then we will have you address, there we go. We will have you address her question after we take our mandatory break here on TalkTainmentRadio.com. We appreciate you listeners, for doing that, because there are people that are trying to sabotage Mr. Fuller's work, particularly by jamming up the phone lines or distorting the voices. They have the ability to do things like that.
Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
Do you have problems controlling high blood pressure? Good news. You can enroll in Helping Hands Health and Wellness Center's health coaching program utilizing the innovative Twine Health platform. We will help you set your goals, keep in touch with you via your cell phone, and may provide you a free blood pressure cuff. Call us at 614-462-0114 or visit us on the web at www.helpinghandsfreeclinic.org to see if you qualify. This program is provided to you by a grant from the CVS Health Foundation.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income, and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
Thank you. TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. We've been discussing the fifth area of people activity called the law. This is the fourth installment of that. We will have one more installment of that. But let me say this. Mr. Fuller's message is getting out. And Bible people know that the devil comes to what? Kill, steal, and to destroy. But the Messiah, and I'm not saying that Neely Fuller is a Messiah, but the Messiah states that he come that we may have life and that we may have it under more abundantly. That life right now is in this book, the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. That is bringing life and enlightenment and understanding to people. And Mr. Fuller, I'm happy to report that many have your book and are reading it. They just don't have it. They're reading the book and they're asking questions. Particularly this morning, Dr. Lawson. Thank you for your questions. Now, Mr. Fuller cannot go through the entire book verbatim, word for word, or paragraph by paragraph. We have to leave some so that people can read his suggestions in there. But thank you for that. Thank you for purchasing the book. Thank you for reading the book. Thank you for answering the questions. Thank you for listening to the program. All of it. We honestly, we thank you very much because you are breaking through despite of what other people are trying to do to distort Mr. Fuller's message so it won't get out. It is getting out, and it is effective. With that being said, let's go to the question that Dr. Olmo had called in about. She says, Mr. Fuller, I have been harassed by a non-white mixed female for over a year. I have absolutely no contact with her. I placed an order of protection against her last year, which she continues to violate. When the enforcement officers come out, I'm treated as a threat, even though evidence has proven I am the victim, maybe because of my darker complexion. I'm concerned for my safety and continue to ask questions, but it is disregarded as, quote, drama, end of quote. My question is, Mr. Fuller, in a system of racism, white supremacy, how can I apply no contact, no conflict if I'm being harassed and incarcerated for false reports? Dr. Olmo.
Oh, well, you should ask the people who dominate all of us, which directly and indirectly would be the white supremacists, what can you do? After all, we are all prisoners of war. We have to start looking at it like that, if you accept that statement as being true. Now, for those who say, oh, no, that guy, hey, I'm not no prisoner. I go where I want and do what I want. I mean, nobody tells me what to do. Lots of people say that. But I've taken a position, and this is what the entire book applies to. Black people who perceive themselves as being everyday victims of the system of white supremacy. So the book only applies to that category of people. Not everybody sees it that way. Then I say, well, you're very fortunate, and go ahead and keep doing what you're doing if it's working. But if you're having these problems, like this lady says she's having, you're dependent on the wardens of this prison called the planet Earth. If you're a person of color, and you are subject to the dictates of people who believe in harming people because of color. So you shouldn't be alarmed at that. If you are perceived as a person who is not worth anything and shouldn't be protected from someone who is harassing you, even though the other someone is a person of color. I mean, that's how, in a system of white supremacy, you should expect it to be. But you keep doing the best you can and try not to make the situation worse. And if they say don't call them, then you ask the logical question, whom do you call? And when? And where? And get them to go into specifics. See, specifics are very important. Next time you call them and they say, look, don't call us no more. Then you say, well, this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening. Whom should I call? And try to get your answer in writing with somebody's signature on it. So you will know exactly what to do and what not to do. And whatever you do, do not argue with the people that you call for help. Listen to what they tell you to do and not to do. Don't start arguing, because you're going to lose the argument.
Yes.
That's number one. So you're not going to win the argument.
Yes.
You're a prisoner of war. So you're not going to win the argument. You may feel like that you just got to say this and got to say that. No. You ask for help. Once you ask for help, you are at the mercy of the people that you ask for help. You got to keep that in mind. You got no power. You got no power except the power to kill others or to kill yourself. And I wouldn't suggest that you do that under those circumstances. So you just ask for answers to your questions and try to get them in writing with someone's signature, so you will know exactly what to do.
Okay.
And what not to do.
All right.
And don't have to guess.
All righty.
Guessing brings about confusion.
It does. Dr. Mack asked you this, Mr. Fuller. He says, last week I couldn't call in because of the phone situation, but you mentioned about how you got the line, The Usual Suspects, from Casablanca or Gone with the Wind. You call the white supremacists the usual suspects, but to them, we as blacks in this country are the usual suspects, and it kind of reminds me of the great 1995 movie of the same title, where you were 4 career criminals suspected of pulling off a big heist. The lead detective in the case believes with all his heart that it was one of them, but because he was so blind, he missed the main perpetrator, right in front of his face the whole time. And so when you say the usual suspects, I think of how the white supremacists and the racist whites use their media and all the other things they control to portray us to other whites and even other non-whites as the main suspects in any crime that goes down, so they also will believe it. So I want to thank you, Mr. Fuller, for flipping that idea so that we can counter it and begin looking at them that have the most of the power on this planet of being behind anything on a major scale that goes wrong. Comment, Mr. Fuller?
That comes under VGQ.
Yes, sir.
Right. A person should consider those remarks that were just made and use them in the most constructive manner for whatever they think they can use them for.
Mm-hmm.
I took the position that the usual suspects in anything, if you have a whole planet where the non-white people on the planet are subject to a prison system, a bogus prison system, a prison system that should not exist, called a system of white supremacy. That is a prison for people of color. And the people of color have to do what the prison masters say. That's what supremacy means. And that supremacy is designed to do 2 things: dominate and mistreat. That's the purpose of it. Dominate and mistreat people of color. So therefore, you never expect anything to happen that should happen in that system, when the system is designed for things to continue to happen that should not happen. That wasn't the original system that was set up in the world, presumably. You can presume that at one time people didn't mistreat people, but people found out all kinds of ways to mistreat people. And it just so happens in 2017, the dominant way of mistreating people on the planet called Earth is through a system called racism, which we sometimes call white supremacy. And that happens to be the latest one,
yes,
and
sir.
the most powerful one.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, you suspect anything that happens in that system that shouldn't happen.
Okay.
The suspect should be who? The most powerful people. And who are they? Those white people who believe in and who practice the system of white supremacy.
All right. TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. We are discussing the fifth area of people activity, the law. And this is the 4th installment on it. If you'd like to get in contact with the show, you can do so by calling. We have a new number, so let me get that. Yes, we have a new number so that you can try to get through. It is 1-614-228-1708, or you can Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. By the way, while you're there, hit that donate button. Yeah, hit that donate button so that the second hour can continue on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Any amount that you want to give, it is tax deductible. And let me do this. Thanks to Sharday Harris, Anthony McKen, Donna Howard, Freddie Burgess, and Samuel Robinson are just some of the contributors to the show. Mr. Fuller, just briefly, speak to your book so that we can move on.
Yes, you can get the book by going to producejustice.com. That's producejustice.com. I've read a lot from the book today, but it's best that you read the book.
Yes.
And those who have the book, I suggest that you just don't wait until you can sit down and read for hours at a time. Just pick up the book every now and then and turn to any page, and you might pick up something that you can use.
Yes.
The book is strictly a book of suggestions. It's not dictatorial. They're just a book for suggestions for problem solving, tailored, hopefully, to the individual person, because each individual person has his or her own problems within the greater context of the system of racism. But you can get the book by going to producejustice.com.
Okay.
And now we can move on to another
All
question.
righty. All righty. Dr. Franklin says this, Mr. Fuller. He says, Mr. Fuller, I thank you for sharing an in-depth look of the causes and effects of the system of supremacy, white supremacy. I've noticed that a lot of elders decline talking about this pledge, for they are the ones with the most knowledge from their experience. My question, Mr. Fuller, is do they have the responsibility to share with the young people to arouse awareness of the causes and effects of this system of white supremacy instead of complaining about them? Or is it because they either don't know or don't care? I will keep learning. This is Dr. Franklin.
Well, for one thing, I don't subscribe to the elder concept of fighting racism. I don't even know what that means. No one has ever succeeded in fighting successfully the system of white supremacy. No one has figured out what buttons to push to actually bring about the replacement of the system of white supremacy with the system of justice, because that's the goal. And anything short of that goal is just a try or not trying. So no one is qualified to say that they are experts in racism and what to do about it. Why? Because racism is still here. No one has proven to be an expert in solving that problem. The racists are the experts in how racism works because they have made it work. And none of the victims of racism fully understands how the system works. If you fully understand how a system works, that also means you understand how to eradicate it. And no one has done that. So there's no non-white person nowhere on the planet that has figured out exactly what to do about racism.
Mm-hmm.
We're all trying to search, those of us who are. So there are no what you call big people and little people in what you call counter-racist science.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody is just trying to do the best they can or not trying to do the best they can.
All right.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. Okay, Gmail. Dr. Jones, by the way, Dr. Jones, if you have not contributed, please do so, or donate, please do so. But thank you if you have. Mr. Fuller, Dr. Jones wrote this. Mr. Fuller, is it possible that so-called Mexicans and or Latinos will soon be classified as white like the white supremacists did with the Jews? I'm noticing a trend of not being able to tell them apart. Please respond. Thank you.
Well, I'll just address it broadly, but it will be specific enough. The white supremacists will do anything that will help to confuse the minds of non-white people. And so you can look for just that in any area of activity. They'll do anything. Why? Because they know that they must. You cannot dominate people without confusing them over a long period of time.
That's
you
right.
You cannot dominate them for a long period of time, rather,
yes,
without confusing them.
Yes.
That's been proven. That's just the mechanics of the universe. And so people who want to dominate people on a long-term basis must learn scientifically all the steps that it takes to confuse the people that they're going to dominate. Otherwise, they simply won't be able to do it. You have to confuse people, because when you confuse people, like I often give the illustration, if there's 10 people in a room and one person in that room is not confused, that's the 10th person, is not confused, for example, that is the most powerful person in that room, because the other 9 people have to go to that person to eliminate the confusion. It's just simple mathematical fact. So the white supremacists always, in every situation, make sure that everybody is more confused than they are.
Okay. All right. Now, let's get these last 2 questions in. Mr. Fuller, on page 161, at the very top, you wrote, and then we're going to go to the bottom, it says you wrote this: do not seek or expect pity, sympathy, mercy, help, protection, or support of any kind for any person, including yourself, who kills another person and who does not make an immediate effort to voluntarily tell everyone all that is known about the killing. Explain, please.
Well, the main thing is I'm trying to get rid of this whole concept of snitching. Anytime anybody, anywhere on the planet, kills someone willfully, and these 3 words are very important, anytime, anyone, anywhere on the planet kills another person willfully, deliberately, and unjustly, underline unjustly, instantly, everybody on the planet should know who did it and why. Those 2 questions should be answered immediately.
Yes, sir.
Anybody who has any knowledge of it. In fact, everybody on the planet. If I go out here and kill someone willfully, deliberately, and unjustly, the law is, according to the law of compensation, everybody on the planet, because we're all interactive. We're all supposed to be something we're not, human beings. We are beings, but we're not humane. But everybody, in order to have humanity, everybody should be aware of who kills anybody and the reason why the person was killed. That should be just flat out. That's a given.
Yes.
Who did the killing and why it was done.
Yes.
Those 2 questions should always be of, and the answer to those 2 questions should be available to everybody on the planet.
That's right.
Automatically.
That's right. Stand by your word.
Yes. And black people, more than anybody on the planet, should want that to be understood. I mean, as a message to both white people and non-white people.
So, Mr. Fuller,
there's not supposed to be any mysteries.
Yes.
To killing.
So if
everybody who kills anybody, you should know who did the killing and why the killing was done.
That's right.
Okay, and that includes even the person that did the killing. They should want everybody to know. Yes, I did it. And I'm gonna tell you why. You know, otherwise you don't have any business doing it.
You have no business doing it.
You've got no business doing it. And that applies to everybody, white and non-white. That should be what black people have as a part of our culture. You know, since the white supremacists don't care nothing about that being a part of their culture. And it seems like the white people who are not white supremacists, it seems like that's okay with them. But everybody, we need to get rid of that whole thing of murder mysteries.
Yes.
See, that is a terrible philosophy. But you have books on every shelf, in every library almost, all about somebody killing somebody, and nobody knows who did it or why.
Who did it? Yeah, who did it?
Bunch of nonsense.
Right, who did it and why?
That's wholesale nonsense, and it hasn't made the world a better place.
No, sir. No, sir. Who did it and why? Okay, and then at the bottom of the page, you asked the question. This is on page 161 at the bottom. The question is, you wrote, what is the correct way to regard any act of suicide by a non-white person? Could you answer that?
It says here in the book, according to the compensatory counter-racist logic, any non-white person who commits so-called suicide while he or she is subject to the system of white supremacy is a victim of a racist war crime. In other words, the usual suspects. are to blame for that. And I'll continue. And every white person who participates in the practice of white supremacy is a racist war criminal.
Wow.
And guilty of the crime of murder.
Continue.
Why? Because we're in the system of white supremacy. We're in a prison system. So if somebody commits suicide in the prison, who is a prisoner, a prisoner who's been convicted of nothing but being non-white, that's the prison, that's what racism is, then every white person is guilty of murder because that non-white person was killed because of color. So every white person who is a part of that system is a war criminal. I mean, that's just law. That's compensatory logic. See, it's incumbent upon every white person to stop this murder, to stop all of the mistreatment of non-white people on the planet. Now, the average white person might say, well, I don't see where I'm... Yes, you're born into a system that's already in place. You can't just let that go past. You have to actively participate in replacing the entire system of racism with a system of justice. The white people who are not white supremacists are in position, better than any non-white person, to eliminate racism more than anybody other than the white supremacists themselves. Because the white person who is not a white supremacist has a cousin or an uncle or a father or a mother or somebody who is a white supremacist. They are the ones who are supposed to be spending all of their time straightening out this mess that dominates the entire planet. And they don't have to come to non-white people and ask for permission to do it. Just do it, white folks. All of the white folks who have what you call the correct intentions and who do not perceive themselves as being racist. Get rid of this nonsense called racism by talking to the white people that you know are racist.
Wow.
Don't come to the black people saying, we willing to help, but we just don't know what to do. It's real simple. Talk to the white people who you know are doing things to harmful, unjust harm to non-white people. You know who they are. They're right there in your family.
That's it. Well, thank you, Mr. Fuller, and thank you, listeners and some callers. Thank you for listening. TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio the way it should be heard. We will speak to you next week. Thank you again.